Well, hello guys, and welcome to episode 7 of this SMP jCraft. I can't help hide it. I've got a big plan. I've got something super ambitious. I've spent a lot of time in creative, almost 4 days in creative over the last week and a half, and I've got something that it really eats the cake. It is the most insane project I have attempted. It is so massive. It's probably going to take me multiple episodes to finish. It's a beautiful project. It's a new project. It's a very recently updated project, and I'm really happy with it. I'm really happy with what I'm about to build. But to get started with this, I have to do a lot of farming. But I want to do a lot of smaller things first because I'm not liking the design of this because I have to walk around here and collect all the items here. So I want to start this off with getting this weird looking structure right here built. I want to actually build this this nether tree farm into something a little bit less of a pain in the eye and a little bit something beautiful, and I have something just perfect for this. So I think I want to get that built real quick. So we've got the fungus farm built, and I'm about to prepare storage, but I think it's time we get on with the project I have planned. And I'll give you guys a hint. It's going to revolve around a lot of this. I think I've given you too many clues. We're making a gold farm, guys. In order for us to get started with this project, we actually need to go to spawn, and we need to grab a bunch of our shulker boxes that have gold in it. Or not gold. I'm getting too obsessed with my gold run right now. We need to go get some obsidian because in order to build this, we're going to need a lot and a lot of obsidian if we want to get any of this done. So let's go to spawn, and let's go grab some obsidian. So I've got the bottom platform done here, and this has taken a significant amount of time, but that's not what's taken a lot. This is... How much obsidian do you guys think this is? I mean, this doesn't look like a lot. I didn't think it looked like a lot, but this is a lot more... Ooh, whoa. Oh, there's just zombie pigmen. Got scared for a minute. This is a lot more than this looks like. So I've got all the obsidian over here on the nether roof, and all these boxes on this side were full of obsidian. We've completely emptied an entire shulker box and a row for one layer. I have to do this layer 26 more times, going up this hollowed out silhouette of the farm. And then I have to go inside here and fill up all the walls. So before I start explaining all the farms and the designs that I have here, I have to admit that I like obsidian a lot, and I've been playing with portal-based farms since I think about 1.9, and I really like overworld pigment farms. They're a lot of fun to manage. They're really big structures. They cover many maps. They can take anywhere from 25,000 obsidian to so much more than that, and these designs are no exception to that. However, these designs are flawed in many ways, and they do not operate within the ramifications that I had for this. So there's a lot that I wanted to do with these, but they didn't end up meeting the needs, and they were too expensive for what they created. So without any more, we're going to get into explaining these just a little bit more than the other designs I have, because I really wanted to work with these designs, but they just ended up being way out of... Really, they were out of the realm of feasibility. They are so expensive, they were going to take a month to build, and then they just weren't worth the rates that they produced. So, this is the first design. And this is pretty simple, but pretty space inefficient. The cost for this is around 217,000 obsidian, and I hadn't even managed to scale it out max in the Z direction, but the X direction is good. So we ended up trying to figure out this one out. I ended up checking all the costs and everything, and this is just not good. So first of all, the trapdoors actually outweigh the obsidian. There's actually about 50,000 more trapdoors than there is obsidian. So there's about 260,000 trapdoors in this, and I'm not going to place that many. The obsidian is not going to be the hard part. It's placing and actually crafting all of these trapdoors that would take an absurd amount of time. There's also like 5,500 turtle eggs put in this farm, and that's going to take a while to make that many. So yeah, for 23,000 nuggets an hour, this design it was not worth. I mean, it looks awesome. It absolutely looks like a really tall bookcase. The size of this thing is absolutely awesome, but it's not going to work. It's too much work. Literally too much work for 23,000 nuggets an hour. So this design, it's not for me. The other overworld portal pigment farm that I was going to use is this absolute beast here. I ended up actually trying to leave a teaser of this in the Discord, but I ended up scrapping this design too because, I mean, that's just one part of it. I mean, just go up. Just look at the scale of this thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 big portals, 6 wide, 6 layers up in the middle. This is 444,000 obsidian. That is going to take an absurd amount of time to place. And it still uses an absurd amount of trapdoors. In fact, this design actually uses only 4,000 trapdoors less than the previous design. And it actually ends up using more turtle eggs. I have no idea how I accomplished that, but I was trying to figure out a better trapdoor method and other designs like that, but just look at how big this is. I'm gonna lie, each one of these bricks right here is 32 portals thick. And I believe that this is 9 thick on the long sections and 7 portals down on the other sides. And those are 5 tall, and then the middle is 6. There's so many portals in this thing. It doesn't hurt TPS, but it's just still not what I want. 50,000 gold nuggets, that's a pretty good amount of nuggets. That's what, 10 stacks of gold blocks an hour? That's not bad. That's pretty good. But I'm not spending this much time to build this at all. There is one good takeaway from this design is that Jay and I spent an absurd amount of time actually figuring out a collection system for this because we thought that this design was actually going to be a lot better than it was. And it turns out that that was not the case. It just ended up not working out to the expectations we had when we planned this. But the cart system is actually absolutely beautiful. There are 6 minecarts here, only 4 of which will be fired. Now there's a timer here for a stack every, I don't know the actual timing for this, but every time the 32 items go back and forth once, this will actually fire off another round of cards. And when it does, it's going to collect everything. This will never miss an item, ever. Even if there's chickens and stuff down there, which we attempted to reduce that as much as possible, but eventually sometimes items just manage to get through. So, you know, having 2 slots taken up by chickens and feathers wasn't really the idea, so killing as many of them as possible was ideal. We might end up trying to keep this design and keep this little cart system here because this is absolutely beautiful. Jay did a fantastic job with this, and we really combined some of our knowledge. Jay knows how to handle really ridiculous item management systems, and I know how to handle minecarts. Minecarts have been a thing that I've dealt with for a long time, and they're a thing I would like to specialize in. So we ended up mixing up what we knew, and Jay did some cart splitting, and I managed to get the buffer system, and then he figured out the timing. And then we just figured out how to get the carts to loop around, and this system's beautiful, but it's not going to be used for this. I'm not going to waste my time on 50,000 nuggets an hour. So I've been doing this for about 4.5 hours, give or take. We're only 40% of the way done with this, and we've gone through this many shulkers of obsidian in that time lapse, minus the first couple layers. I ended up getting some very short replays of that, but they ended up cutting out on me. So I didn't really want to add those, but this is how high this needs to go. And this is what we've got. So we've got about 40%. I think we're at like 40.3%. So we've still got to grab some of the top materials as well. We've got to be able to spawn proof the top of this, as well as get our other portal set up, get the other portal linked properly, get everything on the other side to the right height. There's still so much to do with this project, but I cannot wait to get this done because I want to be flowing in gold. I want to be rich. For the first time in a long time, I want too much gold to know what to do with. So I'm getting really close to being done with this project. I've still got probably another 8 to 10 hours with this, but I wanted to give you guys a bit of a progress update because it is very, very, very monotonous to keep building this without taking just a little bit of a break every now and again. It's just a lot of work, but I decided to send a picture to the Discord. I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a spoiler, so for any of you that saw that, I apologize if it spoiled anything. I don't truly think it did, but all these shulker boxes over here, they're empty. These were full of obsidian. I've used all of them. And I think that's 8, 16, 24, 28 shulker boxes of obsidian gone into this. And I only need about 2 rows and then these 2 shulker boxes left to actually, this is all I need right here. I have the extra row in case I made mistakes, just in case. I had no idea what kind of errors I would make, so I'd rather have more than enough than not enough. And we'll probably end up taking these back and emptying them to load the overworld loading system for the nuggets, because this is about enough shulker boxes right here to run the farm for, I think, 40 minutes, I want to say. And that's a lot of gold, first of all, for 40 minutes. But it's also really, really expensive to properly stock it with shulker boxes. But all the way up here is where we're at. It's really hard to tell the scale of this thing with it all being obsidian. It's just really, really dark. And each layer is 48 blocks deep and 16 blocks wide. So there is a lot of spawning spaces in this thing. And the best part is this isn't even maxed out. At some point, I might come back to this, and I might actually build a perimeter underneath the nether. And I might do both sides of this, but I'd have to do a lot of tearing down and rebuilding to do this right, because I'd need to basically shift this entire thing to the ceiling height, and then I'd need to build the exact same thing flipped over. So I'd have to go down to the bedrock there and build it up until it's 24 blocks to 26 blocks from the ceiling, and then I'd AFK on the actual the bedrock roof, and I would potentially double my rates, but I don't think I'm doing that anytime soon. In fact, I probably don't think I'm doing it at all, because in order to mine out the 24 layers of this is going to take just way too long. So this farm's basically set in stone, and it's here, and it's going to stay here for good. So I'm going to take you guys up, and I'm going to grab some obsidian and show you guys how tedious this actually is, because it's driving me insane. I have listened to 8 different podcasts. I've put my Spotify playlists on repeat twice, complete 6-hour playlists twice, and I'm not sure I've even finished the podcast. I could probably go back to those, but let's actually turn this back on and just show you how slow this actually is, because you don't really get the sense of scale and time that I've actually put into this until you see how slow this actually is with the methods me and Jay have decided are actually effective enough to place these blocks fast enough, because otherwise you're just here for way too long, and it works best in threes. Then you get on this side and you just do this. So it's going to take a while to get this done, and you go through about 4 rows of obsidian each layer, so you're consistently going up and down, which is why we have the scaffolding there, and I've got plenty of rockets, because you will go up and down this thing a bajillion times. It is just that big. So I think we're going to try and get the rest of this done. I'm not going to have a time lapse for the other half of this, because the first half of that was really just a sense of scale. It was just a time lapse of about 3.5 hours. So I mean, 3.5 hours when we got that far with 2 people was actually really, really, really successful, but it only took us to about 40%. So yeah, this is what I've been doing for almost 2 days now, and I am bored out of my mind. But I cannot wait to be done with this project and not have to place obsidian like this ever again. I really need to thank Jay for not making me do anything bigger than this. Otherwise, I would be stuck here forever and ever. And I would never go home. This is the third design, but I wanted to switch things up based on a recommendation from Jay that the overworld portal pigment farm was just not feasible. It was going to take way too much resources to run it at 50,000 even for 444,000 obsidian. That's less than a 1-to-8 ratio for obsidian to gold nuggets an hour. That is too high of a cost for a farm that size. So this actually produces 185,000 nuggets an hour, but there is one big problem with this design. In the nether at the center of this portal, we have a 4x4 chunk area of portals similar to what I'm building. However, the mobs never die. They get sent to the overworld and they immediately despawn. They just don't exist. They stop working completely. We tried moving the portals closer. We tried everything, but the despawn sphere is just so far away from these portals. We're not going to be able to get them close enough to make it even worth our time. So we ended up shaving off a chunk on each direction, just due to the fact that even though I really wanted this design, we need 4 players to AFK it on each one of these. And at that point, we're still only hitting about 42,000 nuggets an hour, give or take, per player. That's still just not good enough. That's not where we want to be with this farm, because this farm needs to produce it by 1 player. There's only 2 of us. How are we going to get 4 people to AFK this? Even if we had our alts put into this, which we won't be doing that, but even if we did, we still need someone in the nether. So how are we going to do that without 5 people? So we ended up scrapping this and revising it to the final product. So this is the final design with this, and I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about this. So if you guys want to skip all the technical bits and information that I have right here, I don't know everything, but I'm going off of what I've learned. If I get anything wrong, I do sincerely apologize. Please let me know in the comments if I made a mistake with anything, or maybe if I forget anything, because there's a lot of information to take from this. Some of this is going to be based on conclusions. I've not read into the Minecraft code. I've not read into the Minecraft wiki. I'm only going off of the things I've tested and the things that I think I know are true. So first of all, there's a portal here taking you to the nether side. This is going to take you to the top of the 3x3 chunk grid, which takes 78,000 obsidian to create. That is what I am currently building. The production on this farm is going to be 100 to 105,000 gold nuggets an hour, which is absolutely insane for the cost. The cost is less than the amount of nuggets per hour, which means that this farm is around 125% productive per obsidian per nugget an hour, which is absolutely what I want. I definitely want something where I'm not going to be spending, a month trying to place 444,000 obsidian down? Jay kind of talked me down on that project. It wasn't going to end very pretty, so he made sure that this was going to be doable. And I didn't really want to break the bank. Literally, we just stored all that obsidian in there, and taking all that stock was going to be very, 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 very negative. Anyway, back on track. I am going to assume that when a player is in the nether, all the portals within a 128 block despawn sphere are going to be able to be active. This assumption comes from the fact that the other farm is a 4x4 grid, which was outside the despawn sphere, but these are inside of it. So if I was in the nether right now, this area is technically loaded as a preemptive game mechanic to have this area somewhat lazy chunk loaded for the player to come through without much more chunk updates to the server or to the player that's lowering frame rates for the moment. So this is actually something to our advantage. There are 9 portals here for very specific reasons. The middle portal is for a more obvious reason. We do not want pigmen coming out of the portal we're trying to go into. That would be bad. That would be a mess, and that would create so much lag that Jay spent the time to figure out the right portal placement for this portal to where our entrance portal is literally at world build height. I cannot place a block above this. That is perfect. I don't think anything can spawn on that, but I might be wrong. The 4 portals with the matchsticks going off of them aren't necessary. They're not necessary. They don't need to be there, but we put them anyway just to keep all of these chunks loaded due to the second part of this. In the corners, we have our grids. In this grid, we have our first portal, and then 2 chunks over. So this chunk is loaded, this chunk is loaded, and the portal's loaded. But this one's not. If we remove this portal, this chunk is no longer loaded, which means that there is a diagonal between this chunk and this chunk, which means our item collection won't reach the middle. So rather than trying to do some really overcomplicated item transportation, we decided, well, Jay figured out that we could just load all these chunks. And in all honesty, with how big this farm is, loading 36 more chunks isn't going to hurt anything. Now, if I were to start loading this farm right now, it is going to literally rain pigmen out of each and every portal besides the center. The center seems to be the slowest, but that's because all of these other portals have more of a preference towards the outside of the farm. Each of these portals is centered to the outside chunks of the farm. If this was the nether, these portals would be right next to each other in the same chunk. And they are on block 8, 8, and 8, 9 respectively. Each and every one of them are on the right chunk border for the right reasons, so that they are exactly center of the active chunk of portals on the nether side. Now, due to portal limitations and the fact that they can't be 2x2s, we are going to get an insane amount of magma cubes. So the kill system down here is simple. With the roses. They're not going to live that. The item collection down here is pretty noisy. We're working on updating that with some comparators. I might have, I have a design right here where it's completely silent, just to reduce a few of the updates. But I think I've covered everything that I know besides the collection. So as you can see, there is a bunch of ice tracks. These ice tracks are going to hold the items. They're going to come to the center of the farm-ish. It's not perfect, but it's pretty close to the center. And we've got some loaders here that are going to hold the items. These are Shulker Box Loaders created by Jay. We originally had this design, and this was created by both of us, so he modified it to be 4 wide. That way, all of these could be operated at the same time, just not with this exact hopper configuration. We don't want the 2x loader because we actually need 5 of them, up to 7 of them, to keep this active. And with these buffered hoppers, we only need 3. So that means we have to stock less shulker boxes in this, and that means that we get the exact amount we want. We are spending quite a lot less shulker boxes with this, and these shulker boxes are consistently active when this farm is running. But there is one small thing we've decided to do. Rather than set up a 4th sorter, which would capture a shulker box anywhere from 2 to 3 hours, we decided just to throw away the 0.5% of nuggets. So to put that into actual numbers, 1 out of every 200 gold nuggets are going to hit the lava. And I don't care. It's not worth putting in a new shulker box for that. And it's not worth the pain of having a potential extra shulker box sent up this water stream every 3rd hour. Because the entire idea of this farm is that you don't need to AFK it for more than 2. You'll have an entire shulker box of gold blocks like that. And that's the idea of this farm. The only non-original part of this design is the shulker crafting system. This is from Fallen Breath, and it's unbreakable. We can't break this due to the armor stands that are set in place here right there. They are super painful to place and get them in there because after you've placed these armor stands, you actually have to piston everything else into this thing properly, which isn't that hard, but it's just not fun. So it's a little difficult getting them all in there. You've got to put all these observers and everything down after you've placed it, which means the no blocks come first, then the pressure plates, and then these armor stands, and then all the redstone that goes around it, which is this sticky piston, that slab, and this observer. Not really that hard, but it just makes it a little bit trickier to actually push this thing down. Now, if we were to actually use this system properly, there are going to be a lot of these boxes in the system. And once this hopper were to be empty, let's say this is the next item to come through here, and we use our first shulker box and we're completely emptying this box, that nugget's going to get sorted out. That's just a small issue with the design we have. It's nothing big, so we didn't really care to fix it, and it happens so rarely that we're not really going to try to fix this. 1 nugget every 70 or 80 boxes. It's just a random firing that we're not really too worried about. In stress testing, it works just fine. But crafting with this system is really easy. All we have to do is just craft our nuggets, wait until we've got 9 stacks of ingots, which doesn't take too long. I think I might actually have some, yeah, I've got some ingots already in here. And then we've got our stack of gold blocks, and once this is full, it's going to break. The other part of this design is that these shulker boxes, even when they're empty, they're going to stay here. They're not going to break. So if we decide we want to put something back, it's not broken. Whatever, as soon as we take that out, boom, it's gone. New box. All in all, this is the perfect design to go with. There's been a lot of testing with this, and I've spent about 4 or 5 days on the other overworld pigment farms, and then a couple days on this design. So I've spent a lot more testing on this than I really wanted to, but the end result is definitely going to be worth it once we get this thing operational. It's going to be a lot of placing obsidian, but it shouldn't take that long. And once this thing is ready, I'm going to be so happy to be able to trade for whatever resources I need without really having to worry about if I throw anything away, because I'll be able to restock it so fast, it won't matter. So let's get back to survival and let's get this building done. Oh, it's done, guys. 80,000 obsidian has been placed. I've already went through here and I've checked out all the schematic verification with this. So there aren't any extra blocks in here, so when I go to light these portals, I won't have to deal with any issues or any blocks being in the way. Now, we currently have the mob switch on, so there are mobs spawning around here, but that's okay. I've used this many shulker boxes to build this, and this is in rows of 8. We use 37 shulker boxes full of obsidian. 37 shulker boxes full of obsidian. And I think we have a little bit, yeah, almost a half shulker box used. And it's monumentally massive. This thing is ridiculously tall. I didn't expect it to look so overwhelming, actually. I think that's the only word I have for this. It's absolutely massive, and it's done. And yeah, there's mob spawning, so that's going to be a problem later. So we're going to go turn the mob switch off. Or on, actually, it's off right now. We're gonna go turn it on. We're gonna we're gonna slab the top of this off, and then we gotta work on the overworld side of this, and that's all that's left for this. This was actually the hardest part of everything here. So long as we don't mess up the portals on the other side, this won't be hard, and should probably only take the rest of the day to get it done. So yeah, it's looking really, really close to being successful, and I cannot wait to get done with this. I'm gonna be so happy to swim in my happy little river of gold. How'd we like placing that obsidian?
That was a lot of
That
work.
was so much work.
You actually did 2/3 of it, so you're the one that felt the most amount of pain.
That's exactly, it was painful. This was not fun to do. But
yeah, it was really grindy.
I did some math on the portals though.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna I think we're gonna need more than a shulker box full of flint and steel.
Well, I went and enchanted. I got some Unbreaking 3 flint and steels.
Awesome.
You think that's gonna help?
Well, I did test with my own, and if it keeps up with 6, it might just be enough. But we'll probably end up having to go to the pigment farm and fixing this.
Yeah. Well, just don't break any of them, or try to minimize the number that you break. And yeah, we can repair them when we get back. I made this. I thought I was being ridiculous. I thought it was. I made shears as well while I was there.
Why would you do shears?
So I'll have for leaves. I don't know. I've never had a shulker box full of either of these items all enchanted up.
Oh.
So I did that. I knew we were going to need the flint and steel, but I'm like, why not?
Why not?
And then I didn't even put efficiency 5 until you told me that efficiency 5 could go on shears.
Well, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. All
right, let's do this.
Let's light ourselves up a bunch of portals.
All right, let's do it. All right, this project is done. The portals are lit. The pigmen are flying, and Jay is fixing up just a few other spots where we've got some spawning issues. But we've had this running for about 5 minutes. I do not kid with those numbers. The amount of time we were lighting the portals, and for about 5 minutes, we have 9 boxes, 10 boxes of nuggets. And this is my current gold shulker box, so I want to craft this up and see where this is going to put me. So let's just craft all this gold up and watch the system work, because it is absolutely beautiful with what we've got here. The system works beautifully. We've got all the gold we could ever want. I am absolutely happy with what I've got. This farm was definitely worth the amount of effort, but it is not an easy project. To be clear, it is a very, very hard project. I probably never want to place this much obsidian ever. I really don't want to, but I know we have a few other projects where we're probably going to spend more than just the time I spent here on this project placing obsidian. So yeah, we're able to craft up a lot of gold in a very short amount of time. The rates of this farm are about 20 stacks of gold blocks an hour, and I absolutely love those numbers. The numbers speak for themselves. We are going to be able to have an insane... There's already a stack of gold right there. A stack of gold blocks, that is. Already got that, and the system is just going to consistently recycle the boxes on the left back into the system. So I'm happy with everything here. It all works very, very well together. It's been a very big project. Oh, why am I doing that? Whoa. Just look at how much gold we can craft. This is absolutely insanity. Anyways, I think that's it for this episode, guys. I'm very happy that this project's over. I'm very happy it was successful. We had some pretty close scares. We've died a few times. We've had to rebuild some of this farm a couple times. It's been an absolute nightmare, but it has definitely paid off. So that's it for this episode, and I'll see you guys in the next one.